Well, we are live here with Coffee with Humans. I told Jason we were dressing up, but maybe I didn't specify.
This is so awesome. I'm like, oh my god.
Um, this is
Oh
awkward.
man, I want an animal suit now.
And before the broadcast, I showed up with a with a suit on, because you know what we should do? We should. I got to get this ridiculous face out of that. I got. Jason Tracey was one of the first guys on Coffee with Humans, uh, ever, and we chose to dress up, didn't we?
We did. And it was the last time I wore a suit, which is crazy because pre-pandemic I was in suits all the time.
Right? And this, truthfully, legit is the first time I've ever worn a giraffe costume. So
that is a killer giraffe costume, though.
We're bringing back the firsts. I'm gonna find. I gotta find the. I should have pulled it up earlier, but we had that first Coffee with Humans, and nobody had dressed up. And I remember we were texting each other back and forth on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, we should probably dress up for this." And we're like, "Yes, let's do this." And so we did. I can't find it easily. It's somewhere in my somewhere in the some places.
Well, how many podcasts have you done now?
Well, I think 150.
Whoa.
Something like that. I gotta get this off. I'm sweating, I'm dying here. And so we were gonna bring back the dress up thing. That was good.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Coffee with Humans again. This is exciting. Yes. It's been since
Yeah.
May. I think it was May.
I was trying to figure out, was it May, April? I couldn't remember.
If only there was a way to tell. I bet there is.
What? This year has been kind of like a long month. You know, like 9 months of 1 month. So
right.
It's kind of a blur.
It's exactly right. It has been a blur for a lot of people, for sure. So we talked. I think it was like in May timeframe that we talked. I should have pulled this up, but as we're Jason Tracey, 5:15.
Okay.
That's when we talked.
What a killer conversation.
Yeah, that was a good time for sure. I've got the clip. Oh, there we go. I can share it now. I can share it to the screen so we can see what we looked like.
Back then. There we go.
Look at that. You look like you've lost weight. Have you lost weight?
I probably have, yeah.
Good for you. I gained weight. If you see my face, it's moving outward. I put on the pandemic 15 or 20. I'm not even certain what we're up to now. But as the that's why I'm wearing giraffe costume and not a gazelle.
It's very slimming.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. Thank you. Appreciate that. Props to you for telling me I'm thinner than I was. So what's been here with your 2020? This has been a crazy year. I feel like we got to stop saying that at some point in time, but
yeah,
it has been.
I love all the people that are like, "Oh, it's a new year. It's going to completely change as soon as the calendar switches over. Like it's going to be completely different. All of 2020 is going to be erased."
Yeah, 2021 is going to be different.
It's completely different. No pandemic. It's like, oh, it's 2021. Oh.
What's been the theme of your year? What if you had a phrase? Yeah. What's been that theme?
My theme for the year has been intentional.
Mm.
Going through the pandemic, and we probably dove in at this time in May, where it's really putting a lot of work in and being intentional and recrafting my message and what am I doing, who am I working with, and that has been the key to where I'm at right now. It's been. There's been a lot of beauty through what's been going on. I mean, first thing is I had a small a group of clients that I had before pandemic, and I don't know if we talked about this at all in our first conversation, but I 3 weeks before the pandemic hit, I fired my highest paying client because they were my worst client as far as like the work and the and stuff like that. So I had replaced this big client with a bunch of other clients that then, as soon as the pandemic hit, dropped off because how are they going to pay the coach when they're small businesses? And I
Yep.
just started working with them. They hadn't, gotten any value out of it, any wins yet. And so I lost a sector of clients that had replaced the big client.
Oh no.
So it was like that. It was a panic. However, taking that intentionality and putting the work in, being on LinkedIn, creating the content, building relationships with random people. One thing that's pretty crazy is up until a few months ago, I didn't know anybody that lived out of the country.
Oh really? Okay.
Like, I didn't have relationships with people that lived out of the United States, and I didn't have many relationships with people all over the country. Now I have
Yeah.
clients all over the United States, and I have a lot of good relationships I've built with people in the UK, in the Netherlands, in the Philippines. Like, it's really cool how much the
Yeah.
world has opened up.
I think that's a benefit, right? I think COVID forced a lot of corporations, large corporations who were staunchly opposed to people from working at home. It forced them to require their technology and processes and HR policies to kind of move into the future, which arguably has been the future for quite some time. They just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And then for individuals like yourself and like me, it created, I think, again, like this resurgence, just like the internet created this availability of connection. Now it's this resurgence of connection via new technologies. Like, hey, everybody's comfortable with video conferencing. Now that you're comfortable with it, like you say, you know people all over the world. It's so easy to connect.
In one-on-one coaching, I haven't noticed a drop off of, from Zoom, doing it virtually versus doing
Yeah.
it one-on-one. I had a new client that was onboarding the other day, and she was a referral from another client, and she's out in Colorado. And as we were setting everything up, she's like, "Oh, do you do live meetings face to face?" I said, "Yeah, but you got to fly to Michigan." She's like, "Oh,
Right.
you're in Michigan?" Yeah, that's the beauty of this, is that we can communicate and go through the process from this far away.
Do you feel like in this one-on-one scenario with people in virtual environments, do you feel like you get the same energy? Can you read people in this quite the same way?
I do.
Okay.
I think that there is when you're in person, there is still a different level to where you can read body language and stuff like that. You get a square here that you can see somebody. You can't see if
Yeah.
they're tapping their foot or what's going on. So there's different body language things that you definitely drop off. But almost all my coaching sessions are Zoom, and so are all virtual. And again, I haven't noticed a difference with that.
Yeah.
Uh, However, like, group events, doing group events, Zoom versus live, I'll do live all day long. It's a totally different atmosphere. I feed off from the energy of the crowd. I
Yeah.
feed off from the reactions of the crowd. I like to get people interacting, and that's so difficult to do when you have 30 or 40 people in a Zoom.
Yeah, it's kind of like the lesson for people in theater. They always try to sing or project to the back row, and I think for people in virtual environments, they need to learn to project beyond the screen. Right, the
Yes.
place is bigger than just you, and yeah, I'm a foot and a half away from my face. It's now to that crowd out there, and I think it's just an exercise for folks to learn how to be bigger, right? Be bigger than your little environment here, because there are people who need to feel that energy through the screen.
Yes. Yeah.
It's tough. It's not easy for everybody.
Well, and I think back to our first conversation, and it was virtual, and we had emotions flowing.
Yeah.
And so, and that's been the same thing with all my client sessions. We were able to get the same things as if they were sitting here in person.
Yeah. In your client sessions, what is there a theme that people are struggling with now?
So I work mostly with revenue growth, with
Hmm.
sales, with that whole sales mindset. And so there's a lot of common themes. um, there's the common theme of people know what they need to do. They have the list of they have the people that they need to contact. They know that, but they keep putting it off because they're afraid of what they're going to get, the rejection. They're going to be told no, or they're just afraid of the unknown, and so they put it off and they go to clean the bathroom as opposed to go and do the things that are going to generate revenue.
Yeah.
And then but most of the time people just, they don't see what somebody else sees in them. We're all caught up in our head. We tear ourselves down for our mistakes and our failures. And so we think that that's what other people see. And so people, they just need a space to be able to talk out and get their clarity and have somebody get them to see what I see or what somebody else would see, and see all the easy opportunities that they can go out and grab if they just communicate it a little bit better and just, push past their beliefs.
Yeah. Limiting beliefs.
No matter what, whether you're in sales, whether you're in leadership, no matter what you're doing in life, it's the limiting beliefs that hold you back.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that came out, I think really interestingly for me, I was talking with Jesse Cole the other day, owner of Savannah Bananas, which is, you might see him on LinkedIn. I don't know. He's around. One of the things
he was
talking
about,
about,
he's in all yellow.
He's always wearing a yellow tux.
Yeah.
And the question is, why is he wearing a yellow tux? Right. And I think he's author of a book called Find Your Yellow Tux. And one of the things he talked about was generate awareness. Just build a lot of awareness, and then people will listen to your message. But if everybody's got a message, everybody got something to say.
Yeah.
But if you can't stand out in some way, even if it's crazy, right? Seemingly crazy. If you can't stand out in some way, people aren't willing. You're fighting an uphill battle of trying to overcome the noise of the crowd.
Yeah.
I think of what Richard Branson, right? I mean, he innately tries a lot of stunts, things that like other people wouldn't try, like flying around the world in a balloon and stuff like that. But because that's who he wants, that's who he is. But it has led to a lot of awareness about who he is as a business owner, owner of a lot of corporations and Virgin Galactic and Virgin Cruises and Virgin Hotels. But it is these things these actions that stand out that cause people to just be aware of him. And they're like, who's that? What's happening over there? Like an individual yelling in a crowd.
Yeah.
So I think is a good lesson also for people in, for people online. How are you going to stand out among the crowd? Megan, and on that note, actually, Megan Zimba, she says, I completely missed the reason for the giraffe onesie. I'm assuming it's a onesie. Hold on.
Top to bottom, baby. Shake that tail.
Jason Tracey's trying to be all serious here. I told him we were dressing up. And Megan, what you missed is that Jason was one of my first connections on LinkedIn, and for Coffee with Humans. And we both agreed we're going to dress up. And so we did. And we dressed up in suits because, this was in May of this past year. And we thought nobody's dressing in suits anymore. We're all sitting in our underwear at home. Everybody knows it. And so we did. We dressed up in suits. And so then when we were talking about having this show, we're like, we should dress up. And so I started with a suit coat on. And then in the break for the video, I changed into this and showed up as a giraffe. And Jason didn't know what to do.
You did have a suit coat on when you first appeared in the giraffe suit. I was wondering if this was still a clip from the past. I was like, oh no, he's live.
It was one of those silly things. It's like, why not? I think it's pretty funny.
I wish I would have known, because I have a great reindeer onesie that I would love to wear out in public.
Well, you can pass this along. This is one of those things where, like, people who pay it forward in lines in the like, you're going through Starbucks and they're like, they paid for it, they paid for your fee. You could pay this forward. I dressed up for you. You gotta dress up for somebody else. Just take them off guard in your reindeer onesie.
Well, that kind of plays into, like, stop taking yourself so seriously. Like, when we do things, like, how many people, like, would literally get on their podcast and put a giraffe outfit on, or go and pay that forward. And sometimes it can be that reminder to stop taking yourself so seriously.
Well, the funny thing is, like, and yeah, people will criticize, some people might criticize me for it, but then on the other hand, it's like, so, if I'm working on exclusivity agreements for, large multinational corporations. because I can do that. I'm not probably going to show up in a giraffe onesie to that meeting, but but you know what? At the end of the day, we're all just people.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
gonna break loose and have a little fun.
Yeah. 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 So like it reminds me of this. I when I was a director of retail stores before I started my business, I had this team that they had just had this big interruption where they were always the best team. They were always the number one performer, but they had all the veteran team.
Yeah.
And a couple guys got promoted to manager, one other guy moved to another location. So they all of a sudden they didn't have the veterans anymore, and it was all brand new people except for one guy that had stayed over to manage the team. And they were having a really hard time with not being those superstar people that were in that store, and they were taking themselves so seriously. And so I came in, I did this whole team meeting on being creative, having fun, having energy, and that was what made that past team so successful, because they had fun with their clients.
Yeah.
I did this whole meeting, and I loved in the retail game. I love sitting in the middle of the action. I loved being in the middle, hearing what was going on, interacting with clients, getting my team pumped up, just kind of like leading by example in that situation. And when the store didn't have an extra desk for me, so we get done with the meeting, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be out here on the floor with you guys. Let's go. Let's get it. It's gonna be all day. We're gonna have this energy. And all of a sudden I realized I don't have a desk. So I went in the back and I'm like, okay, what would MacGyver do in this situation? So I'm looking back and we have all these UPS boxes. And so I found this perfect long square rectangular box and then a wide square box. And I taped them together, came out and set my workstation desk up. And like the team's looking at me like, is this guy insane? Like, what is going on? They had their best sales day for a whole entire year. Everybody was laughing and joking. Clients were coming in like, what's going on with the guy with the box desk, But it made everybody, it was leading by example and letting everybody know you don't have to take yourself so seriously.
Well, when's the last time you wanted to hang around a person with a bad attitude?
Nobody wants that shit cloud to burst over their head.
Exactly. And so you are naturally, subconsciously, before you even think about what you're doing, you're subconsciously held back from performing your best. You got to love what you do. And how are you going to get that out? And sometimes it is like it has to extend beyond like, hey, we bought donuts for the office. Like that's neat. Hey, we had lunch. Yeah, but what else did you do? What else did you do to up the game to make people really happy? And honestly, some people can't be made happy. They just don't know how to be happy themselves. And the answer for them is like, I'm sorry, but you got to bring it for the rest of us. Stop asking us to pay for the fact that you're not happy.
Well, and it's so funny because like you talk about like empowering people.
Yeah.
And I would buy lunch and stuff like that for my teams. However, the best thing is when you have fun with your clients, they'll bring the donuts to you.
Right.
They'll bring the lunch to you. I always judge my retail locations based on how many snacks they had in the back. Like, oh, you guys are flipping. There's nothing back here for me to snack on. What's going on? Like, empower yourself. Get people to bring those things to you.
It is a measurement, right? It is a measurement of how people feel around you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you have a pad of paper and a pen?
I have a no, I don't.
What?
Hold on, I think I do.
It just has to be small, little piece of paper.
I use my iPad for everything, so I never.
Oh yeah, do you have a drawing app on it?
I do, because I have to write.
Yeah.
The problem is I have so many notebooks over the years stacking up, and I also watch clients that will have 5 notebooks, and they're like, "Where did I put that idea?" It's somewhere.
Right.
We're spending 15 minutes trying to find the idea that they wrote down. In my iPad, I have it all. I have all the notebooks. And
what are you more comfortable? If you were to color something, what would you be more comfortable with coloring on? Piece of paper or an iPad?
Oh, probably paper.
Okay, great. And you have piece of paper then?
Yep.
Okay.
I have a pen.
Well, in the line of hilarity, we're gonna play a game. You up for a game?
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna play a game. It's called Whatchama-draw-it. I got this game for my birthday, and here's how this goes. I have a 1-minute timer that I'm gonna start. I'm gonna have it ready. I'm gonna have it at the ready. My 1-minute timer at the ready. And what's gonna happen is I'm gonna click a button here, boop, and it's gonna go like draw a frog sitting in a canoe headed for a waterfall, and then I'm gonna start my 1-minute timer. You're gonna draw that. I'm gonna draw that, and then we're gonna see who wins.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know how we're going to see who wins. Maybe our viewers will vote on it, or maybe we'll just have to give each other props. Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. Draw a hot dog with mustard, ketchup, stinky socks, and a bowling ball. Draw a hot dog with mustard, ketchup, stinky socks, and a bowling ball. You have 1 minute.
All right.
I'm going to turn on some minute music, I think. Maybe not. There we go.
I swear I used to be a drawer, but this hot dog is horrible.
Draw a hot dog with mustard, ketchup, stinky socks, and a bowling ball. Shoot. Oh, this is a bad hot dog.
Oh, my hot dog was horrible.
Oh, no. I messed up on the bun. Hot dog with stinky socks. How? Ugh, this is not good. Oh, this is one of my worst drawings ever.
I know. I swear I used to draw. Even my ball's crooked.
Let's see here. I'm not sure how to. Does he have a hand? No, I'm not going to tell you. I figured it out. 7 seconds. Oh no, stinky socks. 2, 1. Oh boy, that's our minute. I don't know how this is going to go. I feel like I roped you into this, so I'll go first. I'll put my put mine up on the screen here.
Okay.
That's you don't have to be kind. That's a terrible drawing. That's a hot dog with ketchup, mustard, stinky socks, and a bowling ball. He's laying down in his bun, and if you look closely, there's an arm extending out for the bowling ball.
Oh, yep. It looks kind of like a Venus flytrap swallowing a person.
Well, keep that one in mind. That's the next one we got. Venus flytrap swallowing a person.
Looking at mine now, it doesn't look much better there.
All right, what'd you get?
So the hot dog.
Oh, yes.
That's the bun.
Yep.
Socks. The ketchup and mustard's there. You can see the stink coming off the socks. And the bowling ball is heading right for it.
Yes, I can see that. I like how the socks. I think your socks are better than my socks for sure. Angie. Oh yes, Angie. It is. It's another game. Yep. Angie, you can vote. Megan, you can vote. Any of our listeners and viewers can actually vote on who won that round. With the ketchup, mustard, stinky socks. Oh yeah, here we go. We should put that up there. That's a good point. I'll remove that from the screen. Boom. That's a hot dog with mustard, ketchup, stinky socks, and a bowling ball. All right. Let's we'll move on to round 2 here in the game of Whatchama-draw-it. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Draw a dragon playing with a piece of string.
Okay.
Dragon playing with a piece of string. You have 1 minute. Dragon playing with a piece of string. All right, and viewers, you can vote for this after we're done here. Dragon playing with a piece of string. I can't remember what dragons look like. I don't remember. There was that how to train your dragon.
Yeah.
But you know what they didn't train him to do? Play with a piece of string. Oh, this is a terrible trick. "15 seconds. Draw a dragon playing with a piece of string." Meanwhile, people thought they were like going to get productivity tips or something on this show.
Like, dang it.
3, 2, 1.
Okay. I think my dragon is better than my hot dog.
Uh-oh, we've got votes. We've got votes in from the last one. Voted for Jason Tracey's hot dog because I can see the socks and the bowling ball better. That's true.
Thanks, Megan.
That mine just looked like a stinky mess. But Angie says I got it. So that's a tie.
Which one's JT?
Oh no, that's true. You have to. Our comments are delayed here, but you're gonna have to figure out. You're gonna have to figure out which one is JT. Since Jason Todd and Jason Tracey, which is ultimately very confusing. All right. Okay, so I think you got to go up on this one. You got to go. Oh, look at that dragon. Oh, that. That's honestly, that's a good dragon.
I even got the
Yes, that reminds me of the dragons from How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I'm not certain what happened here.
Okay, I can see the dragon. He's breathing fire.
I think he's got a leaf for a wing. I think that's what happened, and he's missing his other wing. So he actually only makes right-hand turns.
It's a good sized wing though, so he's like flying.
It's a gigantic wing. He's not very nimble. This is not a nimble dragon. He's more like the slow, methodical, plodding dragon. Oh, Angie, come on. All right. Jason Tracey gets the first round. Darn it. Winner. Well, you let us know what happens with the second round. We're going to move on to the third round while we're waiting for y'all to vote. Third round. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. And then winner of these 2 out of 3 wins Eternal Glory.
Woo!
I know. You didn't know you were going to get Eternal Glory this time, but
that's amazing. Yeah.
It's not bad for Wednesday. All right. Oh, what's happening? Nope, that's not right. Hold on. We got failure. Here we go. Draw a bag with no corners.
Okay.
You have 1 minute. Draw a bag with no corners. I'm going to try on some dancing music here.
Oh, man.
Bag with no corners. What even is a bag with no corners?
I know.
I feel like the only way to know what a bag with no corners is to shop more. Oh, snap. This is good stuff. 23 seconds. I am totally going to win this one.
Oh, yeah.
I have 3D art going here. 3, 2, 1. Oh, Angie says Jason Tracey for the second round as well. Katie, Jason Tracey had an impressive dragon. What is with the haters? Good Lord.
I think you're going to win the bag, though.
Megan Simba. Oh, boy. Angie, make it a Gucci.
Is that Eternal Glory?
You're going to get it. The Eternal Glory comes in your bag with no corners. It doesn't weigh much, but it's very important. Okay. All right. I'm going to go first because I went first the first time. You went first second time. And boom. Bag.
Oh, that's a good bag.
With no corners.
That's good and creative, and it's definitely better than my bag. I'll vote for you on this one. So there's my Kroger bag with.
Oh, it's a Kroger bag,
and I just didn't draw in the corners, so
that's all right. That's okay.
You came out of the clutches with the bag, though.
You know, it spoke to me. I was like, I could do the bag, the dragon, the whole hot dog thing. That's complicated, but a bag,
yeah.
I can draw a bag. That's the extent of my artwork ability. There's other things I'm much better at than drawing. Like where you
draw all the time when I was a kid, but it's been a long time.
Yeah. Oh man, the things we used to do as children. So what are you looking forward to in this coming year? And why do we have to make a delineations of years? I'm not certain that that's a positive, but we need delineation points. But like, what's on your mind in the present moment?
That's a good question. You hit me with 2 questions, and I started.
I did. Oh, darn it!
Like why do we refresh at the new year? And I think sometimes that we need a starting point.
Mm-hmm.
We need a point to refresh, and especially coming out of a year like this, I think it's that. All right, let's, and I know in business all the time, it's like, all right, what are we going to do different this year? And it's even different than the New Year's resolutions. It's like that strategy for what we're going to achieve in the year and what the game plan is. My game plan, being crystal clear and working in who I'm working with. And so coaching solopreneurs, startup companies, that started a business and then they're struggling with that revenue growth. They're struggling with overcoming the confidence. And so being crystal clear with that, it's already started. I put together a couple our program that has really launched off really well, and it's kicked off this month and has led me into the year really awesome. And then working with teams. So I've been doing that and working with teams with scaling companies and coming in, helping them make their calls and their outreach and just adjusting to what they're doing in 2021.
Yeah.
Doing in 2020 period, utilizing LinkedIn and utilizing the resources to be able to build their brand, so to speak. And then hopefully within 2021, we're speaking to more live events again.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. I know that I've been working with a company that one of the things they brought me on to consult with them was to go to the events and make connections with organizations and deals that are in the supply chain, complicated deals. But when the events dried up, then all of a sudden you end up in an inbox as like cold call to people, which is it's completely different, than just showing up at a table over lunch. Before we let the bag thing go, it does look like I took the bag round.
Yes.
Katie says I got the bag round. Megan does also say I got the bag round.
Yeah.
Angie says I got the bag round.
This is your win.
But Angie also agrees that this is unmanageable, having two Jasons.
Two JTs, not even just JTs.
That's true. So yeah. So my one of the things that I did was really walk into fear. That was one of the things that 2020 kind of brought upon, because like even this space of Coffee with Humans, putting it out there, just being raw, like getting a giraffe onesie on, is it okay? What will people say? And in fact, I had this conversation with my daughter the other night because I did a follow-up show for Christmas with Coffee with Humans, and I sang some songs. And I'm not a terrible singer, so it's like I know it's not going to be like, oh my God, he's terrible. But there's a lot of good singers in the world, and so one of the things that she was talking, she's like, "Why are you going to do that?" And I said, "Well, I just want to kind of give back to the community of people who've been on Coffee with Humans, and people watch this all around the world, and we've got podcast listeners and all sorts of stuff, and it's grown into something." And I said, I just want to do it because it'll be fun, it'll be nice. And I'm gonna do a good job with it if I can. And she was kind of poo-pooing it a little bit. And I said, well, I said, that's one of the things I struggle with. She said, are you nervous? I said, no, I'm not nervous. I said, but I'm self-conscious. And I said, because I really kind of do fear what people are going to say. And I said, I don't want to do that anymore, because I don't think you can simultaneously be out there and be beyond and be totally full and open in the space, and then also be hindered, be pulled back by like, oh, I hope they don't talk. I hope I can just like sit in the corner and be quiet, and also be out and as big as as I want to be. And after she kind of thought this thing through, she came back and she's like, I think it's really great. I think that's really neat that you're going to do it. And I'm really proud of you for doing that. And I was like, thanks. It's a 14-year-old kid. But whether you're 14 or you're 30 or you're 40 or you're 50, people struggle with this, and they don't walk into their fullness because they're so afraid of being seen. Okay, I don't know what to tell you. If you've got something that is that you want to get out there and you want to be great, you've got to just be out there. You can't be both sides of that. You can't be sitting in the corner, and you can't and also on stage. Do whatever is full in your heart, I think. And there was one point in time where a friend asked me, she said, what are you most afraid of in this moment? I said, well, putting Coffee with Humans on Facebook. And I said, well, I guess I should do that. Fear is the gateway.
Yes.
Walk through it, run through it. What's the worst that could happen?
Now, what is your fear with Facebook?
I've like I I had my sister came across this. It was I think it might have been Thanksgiving or something like that. She's like, I saw your coffee thing, and I was like, wait a minute, where did you see that? Now she's my sister. She's been my sister my entire life. She's older than me, so I've known her for 43 years.
Yeah.
And and I was like, what? How did you find that? Well, I saw it on like YouTube, and I was like, oh my gosh. None of my family had known I was doing this coffee with humans thing. I don't know why. It's kind of in me. Like I'd rather be known by somebody who doesn't know me than be known by somebody who does. Right.
Yeah.
And that is like Angie puts here, fear is GPS, right? It is an indicator. Why are you afraid? And you got to go deeper and then walk through it, because either you become a slave to fear,
Yes.
or you find out what's after fear. It's like you can become a slave to it, or you don't have to. It's up to you. And I think too many times people just walk as a slave to fear. And you're doing sales consulting. A lot of people are afraid to be a great salesperson.
Yeah, there's a lot of fear. It's mostly fear and mindset.
Yeah.
And the reason why I started doing what I was doing is because sales in general it's all gimmicks, and there's so many gimmicks. There's so many either dropping the price or not being truthful or feeling it's us versus them. In actuality, it's really not. If you're doing it right, you're serving people, you're discovering. And but because it's so simple, but we make it so hard because of the fear. Because the fear holds us back to feel like we've got to do this thing. We got to drop our price. We've got to not tell them what's really going on, because then they'd be mad.
Right.
In actuality, if we just communicate.
Yeah. I agree. I get it. There are a lot of, in terms of sales, there are the very practical things like what do you say, how you say it. Those are teachable things. And then there's the thing that is not necessarily teachable. It has to be experienced, which is what's happening in here. How do I show up into that space? And too many times I think we show up smaller than we should. And in fact, so to this point of this conversation I had with my daughter, I said, I'm going to go on there and sing, and and she's like, why? She says, why are you going to do that? I said, well, and she said, well, she said, are you nervous? I said, no. She says, why aren't you nervous? I said, because I'm a good singer. And she said, well, that's not very humble. And I said, how did we get mixed up between owning a strength that you're good at and somehow calling yourself not humble?
Yeah, like seriously, like we think that humble is to tear ourselves down, and then we focus on all of our weaknesses and all the things we get better at. And then, but I can't say that I'm good at this. I can't say I'm a good singer. I can't say that I'm great at sales. I can't say that I'm a great basketball player. If I do, people are going to look at me like, oh, look at you. You're not very humble. You're very cocky, whatever. But like being humble is just having appreciation for others.
Yeah. That's why I told her. I said, not being humble would mean show up in the space and say, I'm a good singer and you're a terrible one because you're worse than me.
Yeah.
That's being a jackass. But there's you can both own your strengths, and I believe by owning your strengths, you can walk into them. Like, call it your superpower. If you know what your superpower is, just call it your superpower and walk into that, because you can grow that. That can be more full and more amazing.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you can hold on to that loosely, right? Like something could happen tomorrow. My brain could be destroyed. Like my physicality could be destroyed. Something could happen in my circumstances. So I'm not gonna tie my identity to this, and I'm not gonna say I'm so much better than everybody else. But I'm gonna walk. But for me to be able to walk into the fullness of who I can show up as, I have to know what my strengths are, and there's nothing not humble about it. Yep. And that I think is just something that people need to move through in their spirits. And I think that does it is that I think it's owning those types of things, who we are as individuals. Just own it with strength.
When you bring up something awesome is that whole mortality piece. Is we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we're going to be debilitated, if we're even going to, maybe something happens tomorrow and I'm not even here tomorrow. Like you don't know. And so that was the big piece, because I let fear control my life for a very, very long time, to where I'd hold myself back. And even starting my business, I knew I wanted to do this for years before I started it. But I didn't, and I held myself back because what's on that other end? And I was so afraid. And then, what are people going to think? And I can't put my content on Facebook because that's all my friends and family, and they know me. what are they going to think? And, you know, it's all those thoughts.
Yep.
But like, I had to literally think about, wow, what if I hold myself back to all this fear? And I guess the big thing that happened to me is my grandma passed away as I was starting my business. I was 6 months into my business, and my grandma died. And my grandma was like a second mom to me. She took us in when we left my dad, and we were kind of homeless, and so we lived in my grandma's basement, or I did. So she was a second mom to me. She was always there for everything. And so when she passed away, it was a big deal for me. But
Yeah.
reflecting on her life, there were so many things that she didn't do. And even after she died, there were things that she literally wrapped as gifts that she was going to give us. But my mom said she never gave you because she thought you were going to laugh at her, or she thought that.
Oh my gosh.
And that made me so sad because I'm like, why would I laugh at my grandma for doing? Like, I love this. This is so cute. They were like little Santa hat wine caps, you know. Like, I'm like, this is so cute. It was so funny. I'm like, what is this? And she's like, oh my god, it's so funny. She didn't give that to you because she thought that it was just silly. And they're like, why would I ever think that? And so just thinking about that stuff, like my grandma held herself back until it was too late. You couldn't do anything. She couldn't go out and do the things that she wanted to do, even if she did overcome that fear. And so started thinking like, if I could literally get hit by a bus tomorrow.
Yeah.
Why am I afraid to have that conversation? Why am I afraid to go post that thing? And
Yeah.
then something miraculous happened as I started just, you know what, I'm going to go out there and do it. I'm going to go out there and whatever I want to do, I'm going to go do it. I'm not going to apologize about it. I'm not going to be fearful about it. I'm just going to go and take that step and do it. And what's really cool is there may be some people that are like, oh, you're not my cup of tea. You're too energetic. You're too this, or I don't like your loudness because you're too loud. People might not like me for several reasons, and that's okay. Because why should I hang out with you if I've got to be somebody else?
Right.
What is that doing good for me to be around people that don't like the real me?
Totally.
Vice versa, when I started going out and doing those things, all of a sudden I attracted a whole new tribe of people. All of a sudden, people were coming about. I had a phone call yesterday with a guy, and I literally cried because I was telling my wife this when I got home. Like, it's really awesome. This guy is telling me that he got laid off from his job, and he's a very introverted guy, and that he, with quarantine and not having his job, he was stuck at home, and you know, he was in his head, and he was beating himself up, and he was like, and I started getting on LinkedIn, and I came across your content, and I've been watching your videos, and I've been doing these things, and I just wanted to tell you that I'm here today because of you. You really, you created a confidence in me, and you showed me that it was okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. You know, like, I didn't, when I started, I hoped that, you know, that I could have an impact, but I never thought I'd be sitting on the phone with a complete stranger that I've never talked to. We've only messaged back and forth, and we did our first phone call yesterday, and for him to tell me that's so huge.
Yeah. I think we have two responses for people. There's the person who sits in the corner weak and shriveled, and we have pity on that person. Right? The majority of us have pity on that person. And then there's the person that we follow after who's walked into their fullness, continuing to walk into their fullness, and being kind of being great, right? Filling the space that they're meant to take up. And we don't pity that person. Right?
Yeah.
We aspire. And that's, and I think in all of that, to be that person that I think many of us want to be that person. We have to learn how to do that. But that requires us to walk into the fullness of who we are and leave behind the people who are haters, because, okay, you don't like me. All right. Nobody said you had to.
Yep.
And also I think in that is we have to get over this idea that we are somehow the judge of how you're going to respond. I've already judged this is not meaningful to you. I don't know you. You have no idea who that individual was. Some rando watching LinkedIn, living a full life to them. And all of a sudden you just show up. You just keep showing up, boop, 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 right? Yeah. And you make a massive difference. You have no idea. You had no idea that was happening.
No.
And that we don't have authority to prejudge. That's not our space. Our space is this. Whatever our sphere of influence is, do great with that. And everything else, it's not your place to judge it.
last year, I ended the year with my highest paid speaking event, and I was so pumped up. Like 2020, it's going to be speaking. I'm going to be traveling all over the country, right? It's awesome.
Right.
But so I had my highest paid speaking event, and I told my life story, my childhood, and I had an abusive dad. We grew up on welfare, like all these different things, and I was telling my story about my abusive dad, and my mom. When I was 12, I asked for my birthday just to get out of the house, like. I don't want presents. I don't want a birthday party. Just get us out because I don't know what's going to happen. It got to a really abusive point. And as I told that story and I got done with my presentation and I had a line for me. And there's one particular guy that came up to me and he was super emotional. And he said, I didn't know other people had went through this. I didn't know that other people were in the same situation. He was like, the difference is my mom didn't get out. My mom stayed. And it's impacted me my whole entire life. He was in his 50s. He's like, it's impacted me my whole entire life. And he's like, so I thank you so much for having the courage to stand up there and tell your story and share it, because there are people out there like me that didn't know it's possible to live the life that you're living right now because we thought we were so damaged that nobody would love us, that, all these things. And I told him, like, these are stories that I wouldn't have told my friends. I wouldn't have told some of the stories outside of the family stuff and the abusive stuff, like as I got older and I ran my credit into the ground and I had bill collectors calling me and I had repossessions and I had these crazy things going on, I wouldn't tell my brother. I wouldn't tell. The only reason my mom knew is because she was getting my collection notices. I was so ashamed. And so to go and stand up there and tell that story, and the guy's like, thank you so much. If I can impact one person out of the 100 people that I spoke to, if one person comes up to me and says, I didn't know that you could make it. I didn't know that you could survive. And for someone to tell a similar story to what I lived and to stand up there and be able to tell it, you impacted me so much. I will tell that story 1,000 times over.
Yeah. No, totally. I think that is the word you bring up there, that idea of shame. Shame prevents people from recovery because they can't admit where they're at. Shame also keeps you from your greatness and your fullness because you can't show yourself to the world. That's whatever we are unwilling to show. They talk about it. They talk like in your shadow, right? Whatever unwilling to show, whether it's the greatness you have or something you need to change in your life, that is controlling you. It is that thing that is currently controlling you, and
what's so freeing?
Don't be controlled by that.
When you do it, like what's your differences? Like we're all trying to distinguish what our differences are, and what we contribute to the world.
Yeah.
And you asked me, what's the common theme as I meet with my clients? My common theme is that people don't want to share their differences because they're fearful, they're shameful. They feel like if I'm a successful salesperson or successful real estate agent or wherever I'm at in life, that I wouldn't have a story of abuse or a story of bad credit or a story of whatever. Everybody has their own challenges. Everybody has their story and their tribulations that hold them back, that they sit and beat themselves up on. Yeah. But as you share those things, you become one more human. But what I notice is most people are in their profession or in their business, they're doing, whether they realize it or not, what they most needed. They're doing, or their purpose to do, is to do the things that helps the people that went through their story. Yeah. And so they share their story, when they craft it, when they can communicate to people, this happened to me, and this is what I did to overcome it. Yeah. That's where the power is at.
Absolutely. That's where your strength comes from internally. And I also believe that that's where your greatest connection can come from, because there's a certain voice, there's a certain energy that comes out from us when we've actually walked the path that other people can cue on, like, oh my gosh, you're my people. And we need those people. We need our people around us. And so those of us who have found that path and are willing to share, go out and share it, open it up, because the world needs you. And everybody else, they're listening. They're listening in the quiet space. And then once in a while they come out and say, hey, you've changed my life. And you're like, damn, that's awesome. That's exactly what I need to know. Well, we're up on our time here. Angie wants to connect with you on LinkedIn. Yes, Jason Tracey is on LinkedIn. He's tagged in a post right now for this chat. You're always welcome to reach out to me. I'll get you in contact with him, but he's on Jason Tracey and Roar Consulting. Both of them are tagged in that post. And three cool things. Number one, subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. And then also there's two Facebook groups. There's the public one for anybody who wants to join up. So invite anybody you want to Coffee with Humans, the public one. But Jason, there's a private only Facebook group for only people who've been on Coffee with Humans.
Oh.
That you're going to get an email that's going to invite you to that as well. And then I got to go back and I have to go back and invite everybody else who doesn't get those automated emails, but you're going to get an automated email that invites you to that. So click on that as just a way of connecting up the people who are, I don't know how to say it. The people who are willing enough. Alumni at the Coffee with Humans. Exactly. The Coffee with Humans alumni, which Angie is one of those alumni, and you guys are going to get along great. So is Megan, and so is Katie, some of our chatters on here. So, well, to our viewers and listeners, this is great. Thanks for joining us, Jason. Always great to connect with you. Thank you so much for being on again. And after the short,
it's come so far. I don't even know. Was it a podcast when we first met? Like we were just having a conversation.
It was just recorded and then put out little excerpts, and then I got 70 of those in the tank, and didn't of ones I never edited because I was just running out of time.
Yeah.
And I thought I got to switch this up, and now it's all live. So it's one shot through. It's raw, unedited. I meet people about 8 minutes before we go live.
Yep.
And then we just have a conversation. And I haven't had a bad conversation yet, but I'm waiting for it. I'm kidding.
I've had a couple recently, not podcast conversations, but conversations where it's like, okay, the 15 minutes can't come fast enough. The giraffe.
Well, Giraffe says good day to all of our viewers and listeners. And after this short outro, I will be back online with you, Jason. Thanks, everybody.
One of the things I love about Coffee with Humans are the raw conversations I get to have, meeting new people just like you. If you or someone you know should be on Coffee with Humans, go to coffeewithhumans.com. Remember, the only rule is no sales calls.
This has been Coffee with Humans. Subscribe to get updates or click to have coffee with me. coffeewithhumans.com.